Hi there, Agile friends. Get ready for the World Tour of Agile at the Agile Online Summit 2023. You can join us from October 24th to 26th for a global showcase of cutting-edge Agile practices and insights. Join us at agileonlinesummit.com. This year, we will be featuring some of the best work done around the world and world-class keynotes. You can check all of that at agileonlinesummit.com. But the best part is that your ticket is on us. That's right, it's free to attend and immerse yourself in the world of Agile excellence. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your skills and network with peers and industry experts. Mark your calendars and secure your spot at AOS 23 today by visiting agileonlinesummit.com. So get your free ticket or opt for the full digital pass that lets you keep all the conference videos forever and organize, why not, Agile learning sessions at work. You can get the full digital access at agileonlinesummit.com. I'll see you in the conference floor. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week we have with us Michael Schmidt. Hey, Michael, welcome back.
Hi, Vasco. Great to be back.
Absolutely. Great to have all of you back out there listening to us. And let's dive into the Team Tuesday episode. We'll talk about teams in a second. But before that, Michael, share with us, what was the book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Oh, that is easy. That is easy. The one book that I read and remembered about Agile was Esther Derby's Making Good Teams Great. This was the book that laid foundation for me, that showed me it's not about the practice. It has everything that we do has a foundation, a theoretical foundation. And if you notice the pattern, if you know what you do there, then you can improve on that on your own. That book gave me the aura of know-how, because from that point on, I was able to convince others by stating whatever we do here has a reason, and I can tell you which reason we are founding this meeting on, or this practice on, or how it belongs together. And this Making Good Teams Great, the Agile Retrospectives book by Esther Derby, in that very early version, it was my very, very personal foundation of everything related to theory in Agile.
Tell me one example of something that might be even a little bit counterintuitive, something that exists, but people may not be aware of the real reason why it exists.
Going with the team retrospectives, the people think the retrospective is there because it just belongs to it. After the 2 weeks or 3 weeks of collaboration, they need to sit down and see what to change next time. This is not the point. The point is that the reflection, the individual reflection on how did we proceed? Am I satisfied with everything I did? And this in a short time and repetitive with as a part of the usual flow. This is the reason why we do this. And going through the 5 phases that Esther Derby has determined during that time just offers that very reliable beat that the people need to just reconsider. Yes, it always goes the same. It's a familiar environment. It's trusted. And I can rely on that without being like forced to express myself totally every time. It's just about the little improvement, or at least staying on a high level every time.
And what you said about creating this opportunity for reflection is very important. Of course, it's important from the learning perspective, but it's also important for us as people to have that space. It creates safety. This is a very important aspect when it comes to then the next step of the retrospectives, which is trying something different, right? People that are afraid, that don't feel safe, then they will not be willing to try something different, because that represents another opportunity for failure. And I think that's a very important point. When we are able to reflect, we become naturally more secure in what we are doing, right? When we see that, hey, actually we are able, this is something from the very early Scrum Master journey for me, the very early days of my Scrum Master journey, actually we are able to keep the 2-week sprints. Because when we started with 4-week sprints. I mean, I started that early in the Scrum adoption, and 4-week sprints was the routine at that time. And when we started talking about 2-week sprints, it was very scary. But the retrospective also provided the opportunity for us to understand that actually it is working. Yeah, we could improve this and that and so on and so forth, but it is working. We can do this, right? And it gave us courage to go on even to 1-week sprints later on. But that was also a very important benefit of that routine of reflection.
Yeah, I would like to add, it also minimizes the risk for change. So if you compare that with classic project setups, and then someone says, I don't think that this approach is right, let us try to change something, then the people usually would say, yeah, but that would have an impact on like 25 other people and different workflows and processes that we don't know. And within a Scrum team, within that sprint cycle, you can minimize the risk of affected persons, of affected workflows, and you can try piece by piece to change, to improve. That's what should encourage, or what can encourage people to try to improve, try to change positively. Minimal aspects.
Absolutely. And if you improve a little bit every sprint, then by the end of the year, you're going to be a lot better, not just a little better. Of course, that was the book, but now we move on to the teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemies. So Michael, share with us a story of a team and how these behaviors developed over time and later became big problems. We'll talk about why they were problems and how to fix that later, but tell us the story first.
Yeah. For a short matter of time, several years ago, I worked for a company against my gut feelings. So lesson 1 was, I can trust my gut feelings. After the first 3 days, I came home and said to my wife, I'm not sure if I'm the right person there. But I stayed because the money was good. But that was lesson 1. So in that environment there, in the organization, the software development was from the first view like, yeah, people sitting, being busy, but the progress was somehow strange because like only looking for the outcome, what they plan to do for sprints, what's their sprint goal here and there, and was like all bit of a, yeah, like that they're standing words, but sprint goals like we try to do some progress on this and that topic. It's like, why? This is very flexible. I'm pretty sure you achieve your sprint goal every time. And on the other hand, I was having like a new sketchbook for the new company. So I was writing down all the observations that I made without stating or without finger pointing, right? But I noticed dysfunctionalities here and there. Some of them really toxic. Having rumors in the company, which was not that big, but it was like rumor kitchen. People were talking about each other. There were very surprising promotions and demotions. That was really strange. Chances here and there with an analytical eye. So whenever I uncovered a symptom and I told someone, I noticed here and there in my role as a Scrum Master and as an Agile coach, I would see a chance of improving here, if that is a problem for you. And they said, yeah, it is a problem, but honestly, in the other team, they have way worse problems. So better you go there and help them. And so after some days, I went over to the second Agile coach that was there, and I told him, it feels totally strange. I noticed so many things. Here, 3 pages, you see? And no one wants my help. And he said, Michael, believe me, I saw even more than you because I'm here 2 weeks longer. And I won't be the person who creates problems for them. I can help everyone who likes my help, but I won't be the one who points out what the problem is or that there is a problem, because otherwise we will go down in history as the problem creators, because before we started here, no one saw a problem. So that dysfunctionality was really, really a burden on a daily basis.
So it was a burden for you to observe and talk about the observations that you made. Is that what you mean?
For me, but also for the organization there. So as well, the software organization, like the outcome that the software development created for the company that they were working for, as well as for me and the persons who were contributing there. Because they were busy.
But if it becomes a burden, then we stop talking about it, right? Like we then don't mention it anymore. Is that what happened there?
Yeah, because they said, it's not worth talking about this, as the other teams have worse problems. So the pattern, the network of problems was so deep, or so tight, so it's so much interlinked that it was hard to pick at one point to lift the curtain to start improving or to start fixing. Actually, that was a quite dysfunctional array at all.
So let's dive into that a little bit more. So you made observations, you talked about those observations, and the feedback you got was, we have that, but those other guys over there have so many more problems. Go and help them. And I bet the other guy said the same. Yeah. And even the Agile coach said, hey, I'm not the one who's going to talk about the problems, because if they don't want my help, I'm not going to help them. What do you wish you would have done differently? If you could go all the way back to that point in time and you started to see the first signs of what you just described, what do you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah. So actually what defined my later style, my own coaching style, was then one learning from that organization. First, I noticed the first time collaborating with another Agile coach. So it was the first company where I stated myself an Agile coach instead of a Scrum Master. So I said, oh, cool that we meet because you're also a coach. So I noticed there are different coaching styles. He was very... it was not bad that he did. It was like a different approach. I help everyone. I'm very supportive. After the second you tell me that you have a problem. And I defined for myself, and this is what I would do different now, is I'm more like an interventionalist. I can't stand that pain for very long. And whenever I started at the company, there was usually that introductory sentence, Michael, take your time, 2 weeks for observation, and then we talk about what things we change and so on. And usually after the first 2 hours, I started, by the way, I noticed one thing, only a very little minor thing. Maybe you like to consider changing this and that. And then at some point I noticed that's actually very much more my personality. This is what makes me authentic and trustable. If I would collect ideas for 2 weeks and then smash this around, that would be devastating. So the different styles of Agile coaching, and it's totally okay to have like those different styles. This is the lesson 2, and the lesson 3 is trust your guts. Oh, there was lesson 1 already. Trust your guts. But in the end, I had to leave that company because if they don't want any help, then I will find a more suitable place.
Point. So I'm totally with you with the trust your gut, and gut here is a gut feeling, of course, but there's a lot of complexity in how we observe the world around us that is then translated into what we call a gut feeling. And this is very important to realize. One way to say it is that we have ways to understand what is going on that are not available for us to acknowledge consciously. And it's okay. We don't need to know why everything is like it is, but it's very important to listen to our gut. Also because, as you just said, maybe what was right for that organization was the other coaching style. It might be, and we can't stop being who we are. I mean, even the people who want to stop being who they are have a hard time doing it. So if we don't want to stop being who we are, we definitely shouldn't stay in a place where our gut feeling says, hey, this is not maybe the place for you. Yeah. And then the other part, which you talked about, which is that when you feel that talking about problems becomes a burden, that's because you feel that others are looking at you as a burden. Now, it's not your responsibility that others look at you as a burden, but it is your responsibility to decide whether you want to stay in an organization that will forever look at you as the source of the problem, rather than the lighthouse who sheds light on what is going on. Right? So it's very important for us to also realize that this feeling like, okay, I feel that talking about problems is a burden for someone. Then we have to realize that we all look at each other as people being the source of problems and solutions, but in this case of problems. So when you feel that talking about problems is a burden, it's probably because you are seen as a burden. And at that point, I think it is very fair to say, hey, maybe I'm not the right person to be in this context, because if I bring negative feelings and negative, like this negative energy, right? Because that's what burden means, then it's probably there's no match. And maybe it's time to move on, and that's okay, right? Because we don't need to fit all organizations. Not all organizations need to fit us either.
Which brings me to one or two more thoughts on that. On one thing, I would like to encourage everyone who's facing that pattern again. It's always worth starting at a changeable point. So even if you see everything might be a problem and everything is interlinked with each other, then still start with 1 point and 1 point of positive change. Don't be the person who creates the problem. Be the person who offers at least a small solution for a small aspect, and build the trust on that little change that you can create and try to improve on that. And on the other hand, trust your gut feelings. It's always the same. It's always the same.
Absolutely. That's an important realization indeed. Thank you for sharing that, Michael.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.